Welcome to your OSINT briefing for April 1st, 2026. This report synthesizes open-source intelligence across geopolitics, energy markets, financial indicators, cyber threats, and global conflicts. Visit our website osintinvestigate.com. Geopolitics and conflict overview. The dominant global driver remains the escalating, but potentially stabilizing, conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran. Signals emerging today indicate a possible short-term de-escalation window, with U.S. leadership suggesting the war could wind down within weeks. However, this narrative is contradicted by continued asymmetric escalation. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has issued explicit threats to target U.S. technology firms across the Middle East starting today, expanding the battle space from kinetic warfare into economic and cyber domains. Key OSINT takeaway. We are observing a transition from conventional conflict toward hybrid warfare, combining military, economic, and cyber pressure. Oil market intelligence. Oil markets remain the most sensitive geopolitical indicator. Following weeks of extreme volatility driven by disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of global oil flows, prices are now reacting sharply to de-escalation signals. Today, Brent crude has dropped below $100 per barrel after peaking near $118, reflecting expectations of restored supply routes. However, structural risks remain. Supply chains are still disrupted. Infrastructure damage persists. Forecasts indicate continued tight supply through Q2. Worst-case projections still exceed $150 to $190 per barrel. OSINT indicator. The oil market is no longer reacting purely to supply-demand fundamentals. It is pricing geopolitical probability. Gold market and financial signals. Gold is behaving as a classic geopolitical hedge, but with nuanced signals. Prices have risen toward $4,700 per ounce, driven by a weakening U.S. dollar, ongoing geopolitical uncertainty, market positioning ahead of potential conflict resolution. Interestingly, gold is rising despite de-escalation signals, suggesting markets do not fully trust the durability of peace narratives. OSINT interpretation. Gold is signaling residual systemic risk, not immediate panic. Intelligence indicators and strategic signals. Several high-value indicators are emerging across domains. Maritime choke point instability. Continued disruption in Hormuz remains the single most critical global risk node. Economic shock transmission. Europe is beginning to absorb second-order effects: inflation, manufacturing slowdown, and declining consumer confidence. Military-to-civilian target expansion. Iranian doctrine now explicitly includes commercial tech infrastructure as legitimate targets. Cyber-physical convergence. Prior drone strikes on cloud infrastructure confirm vulnerability of digital backbone systems. Cybersecurity and hacking threat landscape. Cyber escalation is accelerating in parallel with kinetic conflict. Iran has signaled coordinated cyber and physical attacks on major U.S. tech firms. Previous strikes already disrupted cloud infrastructure in the Gulf region. Western governments are raising threat levels for attacks on critical infrastructure, including water and energy systems. Broader context. State-sponsored cyber activity continues to scale globally, with millions of daily attacks observed in key theaters such as Taiwan. OSINT assessment. We are entering a phase where critical infrastructure, both physical and digital, is a primary battle space. Global conflict landscape. Beyond the Middle East. Russia continues hybrid operations in Eastern Europe, including information warfare campaigns targeting NATO-aligned states. The Sahel and Indo-Pacific regions remain active but secondary theaters. The global pattern is clear. Fragmented, multi-domain conflict environments replacing singular large-scale wars. Conclusion, strategic outlook. April 1st, 2026 presents a paradox. Markets are pricing in de-escalation. Intelligence signals indicate continued escalation in non-conventional domains. The key risk is misalignment between market optimism and operational reality. Watch closely. Strait of Hormuz traffic normalization. Cyber attacks on Western infrastructure. Confirmation or breakdown of de-escalation narratives. For continuous OSINT-driven geopolitical intelligence and deeper analysis, visit osintinvestigate.com.